Hey everyone, I'm Brian Bates, and I trust Google Maps without questioning it.
West on.
I'm Linda DeYoung, and I unironically use the Kahoot music at parties.
And this is the One-to-One podcast, brought to you by the Learning Technology Center.
Hello, and welcome back to the One-to-One podcast. Thanksgiving is in just a couple of weeks, and I have one question for Brian. Are you still going to be making White Castle stuffing this year?
Absolutely. I think I have every year for like the last 7 years or so. It's like it's one of those. I don't want this to become like my family recipe, like that I pass down to generations, because like there's so many better things than that. But I feel like it's going to be one of those things eventually. So
Isn't that just the way it goes, though? Like the
yeah.
most obscure things get passed down. And for people listening in who are like, what is white? Why are we talking about White Castle stuffing? Go ahead and listen to our EdTech I'm Thankful for last year. We did a very similar episode and we talked about our favorite Thanksgiving foods. And Brian makes some White Castle stuffing. So you'll have to go listen to that to get the recipe and check out all of our hot takes.
Yeah, I highly recommend that recipe. And it's funny you bring up the EdTech I'm thankful for, because that is actually today's topic. It's an episode that we've done each year now. We like to interview teachers, coaches, school staff about what technology tools they're thankful for. This means that later on in this episode, Linda's going to be live from IETC, our biggest yearly conference of the LTC, interviewing educators on site for that.
Yeah, it's going to be great. If you're at IETC, maybe I'll have already recorded you in the podcast booth live from our event. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and talk about our new segment, News You Can Use. So in this, we look at recent headlines that put today's perspective, which is, tools that we're thankful for, into a broader context. And it's usually something we look at and say, that was really interesting. Let's take a look at it. So I'm a huge fan of the blog Cult of Pedagogy. Brian, are you familiar with this blog?
Yes.
Yeah, they're pretty popular. And every year they release a blog post called EdTech Tools to Try in whatever year. So every year it's like 2025, 2024. And this is a list of the newest, most impactful EdTech tools that team thinks teachers should be on the lookout for. And so this year, the list was as follows, and you may want to, write this down, Brian. Think about it in your head. Which ones do you, know about? Which ones do you use?
Sure.
So here was the list.
Okay.
School AI, Snorkel, Deck Toys, Read and Write, WeVideo, Notebook LM, and Padlet. So let's go ahead and start. Are there any of those that you've heard of or used personally?
Yeah, I've heard of several of them. I think the ones that I've used most frequently, maybe or most recently, I should probably say, uh, is Notebook LM and Snorkel. So
Mm.
I love Notebook LM as a way to take a bunch of different documents and use AI to help me kind of gather ideas, gather information, analyze data, things like that. Another thing that I really like about Notebook LM is the podcast feature. A
I
lot of
know.
times, a lot of times we are trying to stay up to date with certain ed tech or even just technology in general legislation that comes through the pipeline, and I don't like to sit and read, uh, you know, that type of legislative briefing and things like that. So I like to just drop those in there and have it create a podcast format for me. So instead of me having to read the actual piece of legislation, I can just listen to the podcast, and it's a lot more friendly to listen to that way. Um,
For
but yeah,
sure.
I do. I'm a big fan of Notebook LM. And then I mentioned the other one, Snorkel. Snorkel was a tool that I had not heard of until we were at ISTE this past
Mhm.
year in San Antonio, and it's a really really cool AI powered feedback tool. You can kind of think of some of it as like a whiteboard, but it uses AI in both the text. Well, I shouldn't say both, but it's text, audio, and as well as like visual approaches. So like the whole idea is using AI to kind of allow students to show their learning. So maybe
Mhm.
that means talking their thoughts out. Maybe it means writing their thoughts out, or even like using the whiteboard feature to draw what they were thinking with their learning. And then AI can provide them instantaneous feedback, which is an incredibly important part of education, is providing timely feedback. So those are the two that jumped out to me the most. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I know about Notebook LM as well, and every time I use the podcast feature, I'm like, "Man, the podcast feature on Notebook LM is, like, coming for our
Yeah.
job, Brian." And they're pretty it's like a woman and a man always talking, and I'm like, "Man, it's just like me and Brian." So, but I've heard of a couple others. So, I've heard of Padlet, and I've also heard of School AI, and I use those 2 probably the most.
Mm.
So Padlet's a really cool platform that allows you to build boards that can either capture kind of like ideas or brainstorms or images or videos all in one place, or it can also be a place where you can interact with other people collaboratively. So it can be good for you personally if you're just wanting to build like an inspiration board or a place for resources. I've seen teachers use it for like a list of here's all these cool, resources that I have for creating podcasts with students. Here's all these resources I have for, accessibility tools, and they have them all on like a Padlet board. Or you can have students get in there and actually collaborate with each other, comment on each other's posts, like each other's posts, that kind of thing. And they've just released a couple new features. They have like a sandbox mode now that they have rolled out. So I'm really excited to try that out and just keep going with some Padlet stuff. I've been using Padlet for probably at least a decade now.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool tried and true tool for me. And then also School AI is a tool I got into just this past year. I also sort of kind of fell into them with going to ISTE. I knew about them before that, but I hadn't really engaged with them much. But the thing I'm really intrigued by in School AI are their student rooms, which are really robust
Mm.
in terms of what you can build. And it's just like a closed AI environment for teachers to build a chatbot or a simulation or an activity that is controlled entirely by what the teacher tells the chatbot to do. So if you're like, I want this chatbot to give feedback to students, but I don't want them to give them answers, I don't want them to write an essay for them, you can build a chatbot that is customized to the tone, the type of interaction that you want to have in that student room. So they have some really cool features in there that I think are pretty great. So I've been playing around with those a lot.
Yeah, that does
Um,
sound really cool.
yeah, it's pretty fun. But there are a lot on this list, and there were definitely a
Mhm.
couple I have never heard of. So are there any that you had never heard of before this?
Yeah, I think two that jumped out, deck toys, and read and write are two that I was not very familiar with. So that those are two I'll have to check out and learn more about.
Yeah, definitely. Those were a couple that I looked into as well a little bit when this blog
Mm.
post came out. So, just briefly, like if you're a teacher who wants to create kind of like hyper docs, but they're also sort of escape rooms where like there are levels that you have to unlock. It's like a gamified way to create like a hyper deck or a hyper doc.
That's
Tech,
cool.
check out Deck Toys; they're pretty cool. And then Read and Write is just a Chrome extension, and that's all about accessibility. So being able to have things transcribed, have things read to you in different speeds and different languages, and it goes right into your Chrome browser. So students can use it easily, you can use it easily. Really a cool extension to check out. So it's just read and then ampersand write, all one word. Um, but yeah, if you're interested in reading this article or trying out these tools, Brian and I are going to have it linked in the show notes. So check out Cult of Pedagogy and their EdTech tools to try for 2025 and see if any of them spark some inspiration for you as well.
Yeah, that's cool. I think now that we've been talking about some different ed tech tools, it's time for us to get started and start talking here to our listeners. We mentioned before that this episode, we're going to talk to coaches, educators, interviewing people live at IETC. So we hopefully, captured you while you were there and talking all about our favorite ed tech tools. So let's sit down with all of those individuals one to one.
My name is Matt Sherrill, and I'm one of the regional EdTech coordinators for the LTC, covering the east central part of the state. And an EdTech tool that I am thankful for is Gemini Gems. So if you've ever used an AI chatbot before, you know prompting is a really big part of that process to get it to do what you want it to do. What I love about Gems is it's a way to create your own custom chatbot with preloaded prompts and instructions and uploading resources or materials to train the chatbot on. And what's really cool about that is then you can take a routine task that maybe you go to chatbots for all the time, that you're always having to plug in the same prompt over and over to get it to do the task. Now it's pre-prompted and ready to go. So for example, you might send out a weekly newsletter to the parents of your students every week, and you have the same style, the same formatting, the same elements to that newsletter. You can just upload examples of your newsletter, pre-prompt the gem on how you want the newsletter to look and how you want it to behave. And so from that point on, you just go to the gem, describe the updates that you want included in the newsletter, and it automatically does the rest for you. It really streamlines the use of chatbots and cuts down on the amount of prompting you have to do for those routine tasks. And it's a huge time saver.
Hi, I'm Emily Rio. I'm an instructional technology coach in the Quad Cities area of Illinois. And I also run the high school coach, where I focus on how to help coaches in all ways, but especially those at the secondary level. One thing I am really thankful for is a tool called Connect Hub. Connect Hub provides a way for coaches to track everything that we do. It's a website that has changed how I report what I do in my day-to-day. Teachers usually see us in their classrooms or at a PD session, but they don't always see the quick hallway conversations, the troubleshooting, the planning, the meetings, and all of the follow-ups that happen in between. From the outside, as we know, as instructional coaches, it can sometimes be confusing what we actually do. And Connect Hub gives me a way to basically put everything that I do in one place. So what Connect Hub does is it'll track coaching cycles so I can see where a teacher is at in the process and keep everything organized. But it also lets you customize really well to your district and your staff. So you can upload all of your educators. You can add tags for different things that you do. Maybe it's district initiative, focus areas. It really makes it super easy to pull all the different hats that we wear into one place. But my favorite part about it is the reports, which has been another game changer for me. The reports end are all of those invisible interactions that let others know what we're doing. Oftentimes, we kind of have to showcase what we do. And with Connect Hub, it makes it really easy just to share only the reports to protect the privacy of the conversations we have with teachers and just show what we do in a day-to-day life. So there is a free version, but there's also premium, but it has been worth every single penny. I pay for the premium because it links with Google Calendar, which has been also helpful with streamlining my schedule as well. Honestly, it's pretty reasonable, but it is so great and has changed everything I do. So when I say that I am thankful for Connect Hub, it's not because it makes my day easier. It's because it helps tell the story of what we as coaches do and shines a light on all those little hidden behind the scene moments that really add up to big growth for our teachers and students.
Hi, I'm Braden Motzko, the manager of digital platforms and system integration for the Learning Technology Center. One EdTech tool I'm thankful for is Notion. Notion is an easy way for me to organize my notes, ideas, processes, and tasks. Operating like a spreadsheet where each row is its own document, I'm able to track deadlines, paperwork, and notes in one place. What this might look like is organizing all of your lesson plans in one place, managing notes from your last meeting, or keeping track of your classroom library. The possibilities are endless.
Hi, my name is Lisa Berghoff. I'm the Director of Instructional Technology at Highland Park High School. This is my 30th year in education. What? And one EdTech tool that I am very thankful for this year is called Notebook LM. And Notebook LM is an AI tool. It is the AI tool that I was hoping for back when AI was first talked about. Notebook LM is an AI tool where you load all of your own information. So you can load up to 50 PDFs, websites, Google Docs, anything that's in your Google Drive. You can even copy and paste text from somewhere else. And what it does is it will then put all of your information together. It will give you a summary. There is also a chat window, and you can ask it questions of your own data, your own information. And so you can actually interact with all of your own materials. And instead of having the possibility that this AI tool will just randomly make things up, that does not happen because it is based on what information you put into it. So that in itself is great, but it has even more features. You can ask it to make you flashcards. You can have it make you a study guide, a briefing doc, an FAQ page. It will even quiz you. It will make a really beautiful interactive mind map. It will make a short video for you that summarizes all of the information that you put in. It will also generate an interactive audio overview that we call podcasts. And there are 2 AI voices that you'll hear that will explain to you everything you need to know about the information that you loaded. And it has an interactive feature. So you can click and the voices, the podcast voices will say, oh, wait, hold on, we have a question. And you can just say your question and they will respond back to you with an answer. This tool is one of my favorites because I am using it in my classroom for my students to really become super effective studiers and learners. So when they have an assessment coming up, I will ask them to load their notes, their information from me or from their other teachers. So they can put all of their own information in there from the unit that the assessment's going to be on. And then they have so many choices. So they can interact with the flashcards. They can ask it to quiz them. They can ask it to make them a study guide. And so we know that, research shows that the best studying methods are interactive. And here is an amazing tool that allows our students to interact with content in a way that will really help them to learn and grow. And Notebook LM is a Google product. And so it also works in many different languages. It is also approved now for all ages and is SOPA, HIPAA, FERPA compliant. So it's safe and easy to use. So Notebook LM is the tool that I am most thankful for this year.
Hi, I'm Emily Poole, professional learning specialist with the LTC in the area of computer science and STEM. And today I want to share with you one of the EdTech tools that I'm super thankful for, and that is Adobe Firefly. You've probably heard of, and I'm sure you've interacted with things from Adobe like a PDF, but have you ever played with Adobe Firefly? Adobe Firefly is an image generation tool. They also have things like video generation and audio generation, but my favorite use is to create images. And one of my favorite ways to use it is to kind of do a mashup of sorts. One time I was creating a project on fairy tales, and our beloved hedgehog Link, the mascot of the LTC, well, of course, he needed to be in the pictures of the fairy tales. So I went to Adobe and I queued up with some prompting a hedgehog that is in the scene of Hansel and Gretel or Little Red Riding Hood. And I went through all of the different fairy tales, and quickly, with just a few of the credits that they have, I was able to have images that I customized right for my specific purposes. And teachers, great news. Adobe Firefly, it's free. You do only get so many credits, and you have to go through the steps of verifying that you are an actual teacher. But believe me, when you get into it, you'll be thankful that you did. So go check out Adobe Firefly. Can't wait to see what you create.
Hi, my name is Jasenia Reyes-Nickerson, and I am an instructional technology coach for Bloomington School District 87. And today and lots of days since 2020, I am really thankful for AI and large language models. Large language models are, think of it as all of the zeros and ones that play in the background, but they allow you to have conversations, so to speak. So large language model, and it's learning as it's having these conversations. So a really specific use case that I'm really, really thankful for is here recently, I had a high school teacher reach out to me because we used to use a paid application to translate Google Slides, and the district discontinued paying for that. And she's like, hey, I've got all of these language learners in my class. She teaches biology, and I can't really communicate with them, but I would love for them to have access, obviously, to the information that they need. And so I responded and I'm like, oh yeah, I got this, thinking I really didn't have it. But I knew that I could figure it out because of AI. And so I went back to my office and I just asked AI to provide me a way to give this teacher this tool. And after some back and forth, because a language model, I'm having a conversation with it, right? I finally said, hey, can I do a Google app script to accomplish this task? And the model responded with, absolutely, you can. So I actually tested it out with two models. I tested it out with ChatGPT and Gemini. Both were able to give me script that I could then put on the back end as an extension of her Google slide deck, that with a couple of clicks of a button, her entire decks were translated into Spanish. And she could have chosen a different language. Spanish was just the language that she needed. And so for that, I am really thankful for AI.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Radens, and I'm the lead instructional technology coach at the Learning Technology Center of Illinois. This year, I am thankful for Google Gemini Gems. It's a powerful and creative way for teachers to personalize AI support. Teachers can design a custom gem, and this gem is giving a background and instructions to do the thing that you're asking AI to do. So for instance, if you wanted to generate a gem that is specific to your class, your topic, your grade level, your ability level, you could do that in a gem to generate discussion questions, maybe even a feedback prompt, or even brainstorm. What makes a gem so special is that the teacher is in complete control of the AI tool. You get to decide the tone, the focus, the purpose, all of that ahead of time. It makes it a true teaching partner, and it saves time while keeping learning personal and engaging. I have used this with some of my teachers with that feedback prompt that I was talking about before. I have had some teachers that really struggle with giving consistent feedback for all of their students, especially if they're teaching a writing class, and especially in the upper levels. So I've had teachers create a prompt in Google Gemini using a gem to give consistent feedback. They have included their rubric, they have included their expectations, maybe even given some examples, a good example, a bad example. And then the teacher can put the student work into Gemini and get back some really good feedback to give to that student to continue their writing process. It's been really great for us, and I'm super thankful.
Hi, my name is Lisa Schwartz, and I am a Regional EdTech Coordinator for the Learning Technology Center. One EdTech tool that I am thankful for is in the Google Chrome web browser, you can search your history. And I know we have bookmarks that we can use and bookmark websites, but if you're like me, I bookmark it and then I forget about it. So all I have to do is open up my Google Chrome web browser, and up in the Omni box, all I have to do is type in @history, and it will bring up my history where I can then search for it. So for example, if I want to search for everything that I've looked up for artificial intelligence, all I have to do is use the @ symbol, type in the @ symbol, and type in the word history, and then it, in a few words, describe what I'm searching for. So if I just type in artificial intelligence, then it will search my history, everything that has the artificial intelligence, those two words in it. And once I do that, then it brings up the list of everything that I have searched. And even if I did bookmark it, this is just another fast and easy way to find it. So again, I put in artificial intelligence, and it shows my best matches for my history and the sites that I visited here within the last 15 to 30 days. Now, if I keep scrolling, it goes back farther than that. But since, again, AI is a popular topic right now, I have a lot of search history for that. So again, this is just a different way to look at your history and hone in on certain topics that you want to go back and take a look at.
Hello, my name is Mia Gutzel. I'm an instructional technology specialist at a public school district within the state of Illinois. An EdTech tool that I am thankful for is Google Keep. Google Keep is, at its most basic form, an organizational tool used to keep track of various to-do items. However, Google Keep can be used to create not only regular lists with checkboxes digitally, but also photos can be uploaded, links can be added in interactive ways. There's actually a lot of flexibility with this tool. A way I like to use it within my workflow as an instructional technology specialist is through the checkbox method. I'll create an item that is a task, and then below it there will be sub checkboxes for every day of the week. So if I have a really long-term project, I don't try to do it all in one day. Instead, I'll have, did I work on it on Monday? Yes, I did. I can check mark it and then not worry about it until Tuesday. So that's how I like to use Google Keep, and I hope it helps you keep yourself organized in your own workflow.
Hello, I'm Sam Fischel, and I'm the LTC's Digital Content Manager. One EdTech tool that I'm grateful is not actually a tool at all. Instead, I'm extra grateful for everyone who teaches me how to better use the EdTech tools that I already have. I'm all about discovering new tools that help me do what I do better. And as part of the LTC's team, I feel like I'm often on the cutting edge of what tech tools are out there and what they can do to enhance learning and supporting educators. But as any of our tech coaches can tell you, every tech tool needs a purpose. And without support from my colleagues, I often struggle to find that purpose for a new tool, or I fail to find an application that supports my existing goals. Without that kind of clear vision for what a tech tool is capable of, I'm just as likely to toss a tool aside because I'm already familiar and comfortable with the way I'm already doing things. That's where my excellent colleagues come into play. Being surrounded by current and former educators has its perks because they're often so willing to talk through why and how a tech tool works for them. It really makes a huge difference for me. More than that, they're often willing to help me bridge the gap between what a tool can do and how it can help me accomplish what I'm seeking to do. Take your host, Linda, here, for example. Back in the spring, she taught me a lot about how automations in our task manager, Asana, function and how she uses them to manage her production of this actual podcast. That was an eye-opening experience for me that helped me see a tech tool I use every day in a new light and help me envision using those same automations to simplify some of my day-to-day projects. All that to say, I'm incredibly grateful for my colleagues who keep me learning and help me unlock tech's full potential in my work. If you haven't recently, talked to your fellow teachers in your building or your district about how they make use of your shared tech tools and how they make them work for them. It's not just a way to create that next eureka moment, that next big breakthrough for you. You'll also be strengthening a human connection that nourishes how you grow as a person and as a professional.
We have more interviews coming up in just a moment, but before we move to IETC, I wanted to ask, what EdTech tool are you thankful for this year, Brian?
Okay. So I know last year I chose Google Sheets and still love Google Sheets, but I will tell you that this year I am incredibly thankful for Gemini.
Mhm.
It's, there's a lot of great things that Gemini can do. And I'm constantly learning from people on our team, as well as from educators all over out there, about the different things that you can use Gemini for. But I think that what really hit home for me was just, it's completely changed the way that I get information.
Mhm.
Before you would go Google something and you're provided with this list of sites, and you click on them and you're hoping that whatever is on that site is what's, what your answer is, or that's how you're going to find your answer. And you go to the site and then you're like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. And so it's more of like, you're the one doing the searching and things like that. But then with Gemini, it's a matter of, you just, hey, this is what I need to know. And it provides it for you. Oftentimes, without even me telling it to, it provides me with a chart or some
Mm.
sort of graphic or some sort of way that I can export the information. And it's whether I'm doing something for work or something personal. It just gives me the answers that I'm looking for without having to do all the work myself. And so, yeah, I mean, I know there's image generation, I know there's gems and all those types of things, but just the fact of the matter that it's just changed how I get information. I'm a big fan of it, and I'm very thankful for it. How about you?
Yeah, Gemini is great, a solid choice. Last year I chose Google Slides, and I still do like Google Slides, but I have to say that I think that Canva has completely taken over my love for any other tool that has to do with presentations, graphics, visual aid, anything in that realm. Canva just feels like it does it all. Um, it's one of those tools where every time I use it, all I'm thinking is, I cannot believe that they are providing this to educators for free. I cannot believe how
Yeah.
robust it is for being a free tool for educators, and all of the pro features they include with an educator account. So you're not just getting your basic level, you're getting like all the bells and whistles just for being a teacher. So that in and of itself is incredible. But recently they've rolled out some new AI like photo editing tools that allows you to expand photos, remove the background on photos, remove elements from photos that you don't enjoy. So let's say I'm wearing like hoop earrings today and I decide I don't want those in my photo. I could remove those easily with just a brush stroke and take them out. And I use that all the time when I'm doing any graphics for presenters or LTC staff. Like, it's great to have those editing tools. And then the last feature that I was really thankful for that they rolled out, and I was sitting in their big like Canva reveal party that they have every year that
Mhm.
I literally cry if I can't go to, because I'm like, I want to see it live as they're rolling out the new features. This is how much of a Canva nerd I am. That they were like, they rolled out this new feature that you could add multiple file types in one file. So instead of having to make a new file every time I need a new size of something, like let's say I want, a square image and I also need a poster size image. I used to have to make different file sizes for each of those. Now I can include them all in one file as different pages of that file. So it's like you can have a presentation and a whiteboard and a Google sheet or a sheet. I call it a Google sheet. It's basically a Google sheet, but it's a Canva sheet, a
Yeah.
sheet and an image all in one file, and it's incredible. It has just saved me so much time, and it's such a creative powerhouse of a tool. I am super thankful for Canva.
Yeah, Canva is a great tool. I know that for me personally, you and I have joked both probably on air and off air about my lack of
Probably.
creative abilities. And Canva makes it look like I know what I'm doing. And so
Yeah.
it's just a great tool. And, there's so much more than just the photo editing and things like that you can do, but just, you're 100% right. The features that are available for educators just make it an amazing tool. So awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, those are the EdTech tools we're thankful for. So I think without any further ado, let's jump back into our interviews and get back to IETC.
Yeah, let's hear some more.
Hi, my name is Rob Connerton. I am a technology specialist for the Regional Office of Education and have had a 25-year career in EdTech. Talking about what technology I'm kind of most grateful for, or that I have seen kind of be most impactful over my time, I kind of have to give that one to the Chromebook. I know that's kind of a lame, huge, giant answer, but it has changed the way the classrooms work. It has made technology affordable and accessible to school districts, regardless of income levels, or it's made a platform that kids can have access to technology in their homes, in the classroom. They can have access to, whatever the teachers come up with, and all of the amazing platforms that people coming after me in this video will tell you about. The Chromebook is kind of the source for where that goes. So to me, if you don't know what the Chromebook is, it's a small, affordable laptop running a Google Chrome OS that allows teachers to access Google's suite of tools as well as a web browser, and to give them access to the other platforms they may create on. So that I would have to say that's been a massively powerful addition to the classroom, and really made accessibility to technology more realistic for schools across the board. Thanks.
So my name is Darnell Payne. I'm here representing DataHog, Illinois Technology Conference. I'm the Technology Operations Director at DataHog. I'm also an adjunct professor over at Prairie State College, where I teach information security and network security fundamentals. One of the tools that I'm excited to talk about today is something that we were doing with the visitors, and that is a DMARC scan DataHog offers. Basically, what you can do with this free DMARC scan is check your DMARC for compliance, your SPF records, your DMARC, and your DKIM. Why is this important? Because if you're not in compliance, then you're subject to receiving a lot of spam, or if you're not in compliance, your outgoing email is subject to land in your recipient's spam folder. And so when you think about that from a business perspective, if you're sending invoices out to vendors or sending important reports to the state and it's landing in their spam folders, that kind of is not good, right? So I just wanted to stop in and thank everyone who stopped by the booth today and share this little brief nugget with you guys.
Hi, my name is Bob Hayes. I work for Springfield Public Schools in Springfield, Illinois. I'm an EdTech specialist for elementary and middle schools. I love Symbaloo. Symbaloo is an EdTech tool that you can compile a lot of places you want to go on the internet. I use it with teachers to share resources. I use it in my personal life to organize where I pay my bills and things like that. For school, I use it for compiling resources for myself in different sections, being able to organize them in a different way.
Hi, I'm Ben Pirtle, and I teach 6th grade English and digital media journalism at Clinton Junior High School. And the EdTech tool that I'm most thankful for is Canva. It's a design tool that you can use to create videos or static images. In my class, we use them for promotional shots. And so my students are, it's an accelerated elective. And so my students are really pushing themselves to develop new strategies and experiment in new ways. And Canva is the way that we do that. And so one of the components we use is a digital news program. So every week, our students are gathering stories and they're compiling them into a video that goes out to our student body and on YouTube. And Canva really allows them to piece together those creative transitionary videos or static images for our social media. And it's a great entry-level tool. The students have a really easy time entering the program and creating things. It's very intuitive. There's a lot of templates for them to use, but it's also a great way to stretch their creative minds. There's a lot that they can do, and there's a lot that they don't know they can do. And so Canva does also a really good job of creating some outlines and some guided programs to help students explore in new ways and create different things. And so for our class, it's perfect because it's a digital media class and it dovetails really nicely into helping our students create meaningful content, but also to develop skills that are transferable to other classes and then hopefully into their careers beyond.
Hi, I'm Nina Mitchell. I teach at Waltham Elementary School. I'm the instructional coach there.
I'm Brittany Colgin, and I teach K-8 STEAM at Waltham Elementary.
The one tool right now that I am the most thankful for is ChatGPT. I like to use it to help me brainstorm ideas, solutions, scenarios, and other ways I can help teachers in their jobs.
That's really good. Oh. Okay. My EdTech tool that I am most grateful for this year is Canva. I use it for my 4th through 8th grade students, and we use it for a variety of projects. But my favorite one that we have done so far is sock puppet movies, using that as our platform. So that's what I'm most thankful for.
Hi, I'm David Lurch. I am the Regional Safe School and Alternative School Director for ROE 45 in Monroe-Randolph County. I also do professional development for ROE 45 Monroe-Randolph County as well. The EdTech tool that I am the most thankful for probably this year and now every year for the rest of my life is Google Gemini. Google Gemini is a large language model that Google developed to be an AI tool, an assistant, virtual assistant, chatbot, to do a lot of different things with. Specifically, what I use Gemini for is I use it when I am out of ideas of how I can help children be successful. So when I get a referral for a student who is struggling in a variety of ways, whether it is they're not coming to school for truancy, behaviorally they might be struggling, maybe they're just hungry, they don't have access to food, and I am out of ideas as to how I can help that child, I will ask Gemini, how can I help this child? What are ideas that you would suggest? And here are some things that I have tried, and that has given me a humongous list of interventions that are pulled, that are best practices, that are research-based, that I can use to help support children, get them to school and get their education. So the EdTech tool I'm most thankful for is Google Gemini.
Good morning. I feel so grateful to be here at IETC. I'm having such an amazing time. My favorite tech tool is actually the family toolkit. As a mom of 3 young girls who are just starting to get engaged with technology, social media, AI, the family toolkit is chock full of playbooks and things to help me build healthy tech habits at home with my girls. They do have iPads. They do not have phones just yet, but it really helps me to set boundaries and strike a balance with tech. That's the Social Institute's family toolkit, and that's my favorite tech product.
All right, let's take a break from the podcast booth because we're celebrating a very special year at IETC. It's our 30th anniversary, and that's right, IETC started all the way back in 1995. And so, this year for IETC, we took it all the way back to the 90s, and we had like a 90s house party. There were costume contests, an exclusive Hyperlink 90s pin, which if you weren't aware of, Hyperlink is our hedgehog mascot here at the LTC. So a lot of things going on to celebrate the 30th anniversary and probably the best decade that's ever happened, which is the 90s.
Yeah, I love the theme so much, and I am a Hyperlink mega fan. You know this about me. But let's go ahead and dig into it just a little bit more. And I would love to know, what are some of your favorite things from the 90s, Brian?
Oh man, this list could go on and on forever. Like, I will tell you that cartoons were fantastic.
Yes.
And like the after school TV shows like Power Rangers and things like that were great. Pogs, playing Pogs at middle school and elementary school. That was a great thing about the 90s. The music, hands down, I still think 90s music is the best music. Man, there's just so many things. There are great movies in the 90s. So many things about the 90s. What about you?
Well, I will tell you that the entirety of the 90s for me was mostly consumed by Pokemon.
That makes sense.
Because Pokemon was huge for 90s kids. And so I know it bled into a little bit of the early 2000s there, but man, Pokemon just dominated the landscape if you were a kid in the 90s. And I am still a huge fan. In fact, I keep, Pokemon memorabilia around my desk. My classroom mascot when I was a teacher was a version of Charmander that we called Charmunder. And so I still, to this day, love Pokemon. I still have all my original Pokemon cards. And it's just such fun memories for me all around. As someone who truly is a child of the 90s. So
yeah, that was bad. I know you kind of wanted one thing there, but it's just so hard for me. But yeah, if I think movies and music, so we'll go with that.
Yeah. I mean, solid choices.
Yeah.
I also enjoy 90s movies and music. And when you said cartoons, I was just like, man, I loved some of the 90s cartoons as a huge cartoon lover. I mean, and Pokemon was a cartoon. So, I watched it all the time. It was great. But yeah, speaking of IETC in the 90s, we talked about 90s was the premiere for IETC. It came out in 1995 was our first one. And I would love to know, you've been involved with IETC now for a number of years,
Yeah.
and I'd love to hear how IETC has changed over time since its creation 30 years ago, or even just like in the last few years. What is different about IETC?
Yeah, I've personally been a part of IETC now for probably 10 years or more. But I think IETC has always remained true to the fact that the goal is to provide high quality, practical, timely professional learning for education and technology. What has changed is what challenges schools are faced with, and the conference has moved beyond just the traditional computing and hardware thing to address those challenges, like going one-to-one, remote learning. And now we're deep into AI. I mean, that's a huge thing. I don't think that anybody who attended IETC in the early 90s would ever imagine what AI would be doing to education and how it would be changing it. And the types of professional learning opportunities at IETC have changed also. We now offer a lot more opportunities for technology leadership, coaches, curriculum and assessment, and a lot more. So yeah, the topics have changed over time, and even the venue. IETC is still just a really robust tech conference that's here to support the needs of educators all over the state.
Yeah, I mean, that all absolutely resonates. Even thinking about my own teaching career from the beginning to the end. I mean, at first, it's like, it feels like we're really focused on Google tools for a long time,
Yeah.
because that was kind of like the new rolling out thing, was Google for Education and Google tools. Now it's like we've moved not completely away from Google tools, but it's like we're not seeing that as much anymore. And now we're seeing all this app smashing and all this, there's all these ed tech players on the board now that are offering amazing services and amazing tools. And like you said, now we have AI. So a new challenger has entered the ring. And
Yeah.
we're having to address that and talk about that, because it is changing the landscape of education.
And not to leave off our tech directors and our network administrators and things like that too. Cybersecurity every single year just continues to be more and more prevalent, more important, and a bigger part of what we do in education as relates to technology. Same with student data privacy and protecting school data and things like that. So the best part about IETC, I think, is we've just been able to adapt and continue to provide that timely professional learning opportunity for educators.
Well, I think we should get back to IETC and hear just a few more interviews before we close out our podcast episode. So what do you say, Brian?
Sounds good. Let's go.
All right. I am Katie Patton from Zion District 6. We're actually getting ready to go into the house party, but I thought I'd stop by and share one of my favorite tech tools. So this year we brought in the Sphero Indie cars for our K-5 learners, and it's been a lot of fun using the Indie cars with our students, because it's a great way to keep them off the screens, but also get them thinking about computer science concepts like algorithms, computational thinking, sequencing, and they're having a blast. One project that we're wrapping up this week is having students code a path as if they were the Mars rover across the Mars terrain, and they are just loving it because they're connecting it to learning in the 4th grade classroom. So it's just been a really fun tool that I'm so thankful that we have this year.
Hey, I'm Alex Valentic. I'm the Professional Learning Coordinator with Freeport School District number 145, home of the pretzels. And one EdTech tool that I absolutely love is Google Sheets, because with my job of coordinating professional learning throughout the district, I need something that organizes lots and lots and lots of information. And Google Sheets just does that perfectly. It allows me to create filters, to sort information, to organize people, to figure out who the heck it is I'm working with, and also sometimes figure out who it is who said they were going to come to something and then didn't. this is something that happens from time to time, especially on our district PD days when I'm going through signups for different workshops and sessions. And then I go through and I'm looking at the attendance. I'm like, when I sort this information, I notice that this person is missing from all of the sign-in sheets. So then I can reach out to them and find out that they forgot to sign in, or they were sick, or they had an appointment, forgot to call it in. So we're able to keep track of that. But also another way Google Sheets really helps me is that every single platform that has a report uses a different way of organizing that report. And I have to be able to pull data across multiple reports to combine it to figure out what I really need to know, which is usually who I'm working with, where they're located, what their job is, and what their email is. And usually reports will give me about 2 out of the 4 of those. So by using Google Sheets and learning how to use the search queries, I'm able to pull the information together to really get a good idea of what's happening in the school district, especially in terms of professional learning. So we need to give more love to Google Sheets because it's phenomenal, it's wonderful, and it's a really fabulous tool.
My name is Cody McQueen. I'm with Eastern Illinois Area Special Education. I'm their director of IT. So Edpuzzle is a cool AI tool that instructor or educators can use to really help make quizzes, on-the-fly quizzes and lesson plans almost effortlessly. The amount of time that it saves a classroom is unbelievable, and we wouldn't believe it either if we hadn't seen it in work for the last year. So I think a lot of the scope of the question is more like AI, like in what it's doing for classrooms and stuff. So it's definitely, it's kind of like this scary concept, but it's really something that's been around for a long time already. AI is a sophisticated way to get responses back via programming code of any kind, and it's something to really lean into instead of shy away from. Getting your feet in the water and just doing something, with AI and pushing really hard to get everyone to understand what it can do for your classroom is pretty amazing. From stressing out every day, how are we going to teach these kids? What are the lesson plans to literally take you're now perusing YouTube to try to find, something cool that's interesting that that will stimulate your kids' imagination, and then you just copy and paste the URL and tell it, what you want to make out of it, and it's really cool. And any educator should give it a shot, or go through whatever channels that they need to go through to try to get it in their classroom and see what it can do for you. It's pretty cool, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just what we reached out first, to find that it's a good fit for us.
Hi, I'm Carrie Gilbert, and I am the Instructional Programs Coordinator for Zion District 6. The tech tool that I love is actually Define Learning and Define Careers. We use it as a project program for our teachers to have project-based learning activities, and it targets specifically the CTE realm and like career technical education opportunities for kids using project-based learning. So our teachers are able to look up different projects in order to get different realms in which they can expose kids to project-based learning. So one project we recently did in our class in our school is for 6th graders. They explored the idea of cultural innovations and looked at food truck programs and how to create and explore culture through the idea of creating food trucks for kids. So thanks very much. It's a program we really love. It's a really great resource to give teachers ideas for project-based learning that they wouldn't otherwise have, since it can sometimes be a difficult concept to implement in classrooms.
Hi, I'm Anna Barrett, and I teach at Pleasant Plains Middle School. I have an English language learner who I work with, and I also do math and reading interventions. I am definitely a huge fan of Raz Plus for ELL to work with my English language learner. She has a lot of interest in things that are new to me. I am a reading teacher at heart, and she loves all things science. And so when she becomes interested in something, I can go into the Raz Plus library and find books about whatever it is she's curious about. So earthquakes, or we've done projects with volcanoes. So we're able to then pull vocabulary that's going to be essential for her to understand. And it comes ready with pictures for her. Then we are able to read about these things and look up new words. There's also the option to push play and allow the book to read to her. So she doesn't always have to hear my voice, or if I can tell that she's wearing out of reading out loud to me, it provides an alternative and breaks things up as we go through our lesson. And then typically there are fun exercises, like a project we can do to show what she's learned that she really picks. So for example, we made a seismograph, not a word that I was very, used to using or familiar with before teaching it to an English language learner. Additionally, it comes with grammar practices and specific reading comprehension discussion questions. And it allows us to have a very interactive lesson, even though I can print or just keep it all digital. Either way, it doesn't matter, but we're able to work through it together. So, and it even provides background knowledge, videos and images and things that I don't have to dig all the pieces up, that it's right there for me. So.
Hi, my name is Greg Simmons. I'm the Territory Director for LineWise. The EdTech tool that I'm most thankful for is really a whole safety ecosystem that's wrapped around with LineWise. It's more than just content filtering, but it's allowing access to the internet for our children, but with guardrails, keeping them safe anywhere that learning is happening, whether that be in the classroom, at home, or anywhere in between. We want to make sure that they have access to those tools, but access to them safely.
So I'm Dallas Turner. I am an instructional coach in Rockford Public Schools. I spent 20 years of my career as a physics teacher.
My name is Steve Wick. I'm an instructional technology coordinator and science teacher in Naperville, Illinois. I've been teaching for about 32 years now.
Wow, 32 years.
I'm old.
Man, how do you stand it?
I don't know.
So my favorite EdTech tool, it's got to be Google Suite. It just, because there's so many things that it opened up for all of us when it first came out. There were so many things that were just the being able to collaborate across documents, to share with everybody, and just make all those tools available to kids so that they could learn the basics of some working in the office kind of skills.
And I totally agree. That was a tipping point, both Google and eventually Chromebooks. For me, I'm going to go a little bit more specific right now because it's the topic of the time, which is a Notebook LM. So Notebook LM also belongs to Google. What I love, it's an AI tool that you can tailor a little bit more, and it really has some incredible features. So long story short, like most of the AIs, you can add your own stuff to it, but it basically takes that idea of it's only going to look at the notes, the PDFs, or whatever you want to put into it. And then the bonus for it all is it's all connected to Google Classroom. So you can roll that all out to your students too. And you have this opportunity to have this incredible AI tool that's tailored to exactly what you want it to be without having to spend a bunch of time on the back end setting it up.
Yeah, I love that you get to put in your own sources and pick the things that it's going to use to pull all that information from for you later.
Hi, my name is Itza White. I am the Director of Cybersecurity for 5-Star Technology Solutions. And we partner with K-12 districts across the U.S. To provide solutions and provide true partnership for any cybersecurity services, data needs. We also provide PD, and we provide on-site tech services. Honestly, just an all-around, we figure out where your needs are and where we can help. So that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be able to partner with districts big or small. We specialize in K-12. All of our services are tailored for K-12 because that's where our passion is. So that's what I'm thankful for.
Hi, my name is John Gutzmer. I'm the Chief Information Officer for Urbana School District. My favorite EdTech tool is Google Sheets. Google Sheets is basically like Excel, except it's made to be super collaborative, where you can share your sheets with everybody. You can all work on the same thing. One of the things I like most about it is that you can see the edit history for each individual cell. So if there's something that's changed or got moved, you can see who did it and when, and you can revert back to all the previous revisions. But my favorite thing that I've ever done with Google Sheets was way back during the COVID days. We went around to all the classrooms with all the nurses and stuck Q-tips in all the kids' noses. And at the end of every day, we had thousands of test results that we had to upload into the state reporting system. And you can make scripts inside Google Sheets that instead of having a bunch of people go and manually type in stuff, it will go through the website and upload all of these and basically hack into the Illinois Department of Public Health to upload all of your results overnight, and saved us probably thousands of hours of man work over the course of that year. So that's why Google Sheets is my favorite EdTech tool.
Hi, my name is Mark Smithovus. I am the head of operations for CS for IL. We're a nonprofit that advocates for computer science programs throughout the state of Illinois. My favorite tool is one called Descript, which is great for podcasts like this one. And basically what it allows you to do is record a podcast, but once you've done that, it automatically transcribes it. And then you can go and edit the podcast like you would a Word document. So if I wanted to take out a sentence, I just delete the sentence in the Word doc, and then the podcast is automatically edited. There's a lot of other features in it that I like. It has a feature like Zoom, where you can record a podcast and invite guests to join you, and then it automatically recognizes when those guests are speaking, so you have a nice little edited transcript later. And then it has a lot of cool AI tools in it that will do things like remove all the ers, ums, and little bits that you don't want in a podcast. It will also publish it, and you can even make your own AI voice. So instead of re-recording, you can just type a paragraph and it will generate that audio for you. So that's one of the tools of many that I use that I'm thankful for this season.
Well, the party doesn't stop with IETC. We have a number of conferences on the horizon. And if you're a tech professional or school leader, we'd love to see you at our online summit, Secured Schools, on January 27th and 28th. Visit ltc.site/secured to register.
And if you want to discover more of the latest and greatest EdTech tools, you should come hiking with us. Register for one of our Tech Treks, hands-on virtual workshops where our trail guides, aka LTC staff, will walk you through a specific EdTech tool like Canva or Magic School. You can find out more at ltc.site/webinars.
Of course, consider subscribing to or following the One-to-One podcast. We have an awesome lineup for the winter and spring. Linda, I will see you next time where we will be sitting down one-to-one.